Hey everybody, welcome to Super Dope Plus Ultra. I'm Kelly, and today it is just me, myself, and I. Unfortunately, Kyle's just feeling a little under the weather today, but don't worry because I am here. To tell you all about this awesome, most recent My Hero Academia episode. It's episode 101, Have a Merry Christmas. I did have a Merry Christmas. This episode felt like a gift. I loved it. It had so many of the really cute elements that I like from the show, but also a lot of the more serious parts of like the Hero Society are kind of coming to light. So I really enjoyed it. It starts off really strong. We see that there is some villain work afoot. We see like an entire town basically just destroyed, and out of the wreckage steps a very bloody and battered Shigaraki, and then we get the opening credits. So I think that this is a great way of them showing us that we are going to be getting into some more serious stuff, and that this training arc we have been in is just over and done with. And I cannot say I'm sad to see it go, because I thought it was a pretty long and stretched out arc, but I'm excited for what's to come. Like I said, this episode was great. We see a little bit of Bakugo and Shoto's last battle, but it's just kind of like a clip because they're in an interview. And of all of the students to do something heroic and then be in an interview, I feel like Bakugo and Todoroki are the most awkward and unfortunate two people to pick. Bakugo is just rude and inappropriate for TV, and Todoroki is so awkward and, I mean, in his own way, also pretty inappropriate for TV. At one point, the interviewer says, like, oh, what is it like being a hero together, working together? And Bakugo's just being Bakugo, and he's like, it sucks, whatever. But Todoroki is like, oh, I mean, we're friends. Bruh. You and Bakugo are not friends. He says, oh yeah, we spend a lot of time together at school and at our extra lessons, so we're friends now. I hate to tell you this, Todoroki, but that's not how friendship works. You don't just become friends because you're next to each other and you spend a lot of time together. That is really not right. It just kind of cements how awkward like his childhood must have been, and how he doesn't really have a lot of friends. He doesn't really know how to make them, so he just assumes that everyone who spends time with him is his friend. Poor thing. And the interview was so awkward and uncomfortable that even though they recorded for an hour, the clip that they end up showing at the end that all of the students are watching is only 5 minutes long, and they have cut every single part of Bakugo out of it. Like, you literally only see a little side of his face because they cut all the rest out, and it's just like a Todoroki special. They're like, oh yeah, he was the only one there. And it's hilarious, you guys. Everyone's cracking up about it, and Bakugo is livid, like thinking he's not going to get any good publicity, but whatever, Bakugo, you got to work on your people skills, okay? And they end up having like a special class for interview training, like basically like a PR relations skill. I think they call it like media training, right? Where Midnight and Mount Lady end up coming to the class to do some interviewing skills for all the students. They definitely need it, and so I think this is a great time for them to do it. I mean, they're all getting a little bit more publicity, and they're probably going to be doing interviews at some point anyway, and a lot of them need a lot of work, so let's start now. And I think the first person that they use is Todoroki. Like I said, he was awkward as hell, and he definitely needs a lot of work. So Mount Lady asks him some questions like, oh, you know, you're so cute. She's such a perv about it. She's like, you're so cute. You must make all the ladies' hearts race. Oh, you've got my heart racing. And Todoroki, he's like, oh my God, do you have a heart problem? Like, are you okay? And then at one point later, when she's giving him critique, she says to him, like, oh my gosh, you'll kill all the ladies with that smile. And he's like, if I smile, I'll kill people? Like, I have said it before and I will say it again. Todoroki is one of the funniest characters in the show because he's just so, he's got like deadpan humor. He's just so flat with his delivery of everything. I mean, maybe it's not on purpose. He's just so awkward, but it's hilarious, and I think that it really makes the show a lot funnier. He does show off some of his super moves, and he shows off his heaven-piercing ice wall, okay, dramatic name, and his flash freeze heat wave. And his, like, classmates are like, oh my god, what about your other one? What about your fire fist? But he says that he's just not to that level yet. That's Endeavor's move, and he's not quite there yet, so he's not going to use that as one of his super moves. And I think that it was a really fun little chance for Todoroki to show off. And definitely, I liked seeing him, you know, show off his moves. And I really liked that Mount Lady kind of reminded us that the reason why heroes shout their hero moves out loud, which I kind of think is pretty awkward, is because it makes the citizens feel like they know the hero, they can recognize them. It helps them when they're working with other heroes to have other heroes kind of know what they're doing. And villains can be more like afraid of these people because they know what their moves are. Mount Lady goes through some of the other students, and she kind of just gives all of them little encouraging tidbits about their moves. So Ida, she tells him that he's being so like sincere, and Uraraka is like really gentle, and that's also very heroic. I think she says Tokoyami's got like, you know, dark shadow. He's like all kind of like mysterious and like our emo prince. And she's like, oh, I love the aura. With Kirishima, she gets kind of creepy again because she's like, ooh, boss. Honey, like, don't say that to the students. That's so awkward and uncomfortable. So let's rein that in, okay? Super funny. We get to Bakugo, and Bakugo, of course, is like so terrible at this. He doesn't really have great people skills. He doesn't know how to just answer questions quietly or not with an argument. It's so bad that Midnight says to Aizawa, like, maybe we should just have him avoid media at all costs because he is really bad at this. And when you're thinking like, wow, it can't get much worse than Bakugo, it does, because Midoriya has the craziest stage fright I've ever seen. He's up there like white as a ghost, completely rigid, like cannot relax and answer any questions until finally Mount Lady asks him about All Might. She's like, oh, your moves seem to be kind of based off of All Might. Like, are you a fan? And that snaps him right out of his stage fright because he gets to be his true self, his authentic self, which is just an All Might fanboy. And he kind of goes into his like decision-making process where he says that he names his moves off of All Might's moves, but slightly different. No, this is plagiarism at best. He's like, oh yeah, I have the Delaware Smash because All Might's never used that state before. No, like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you can't just pick a different state. Why don't you get a little bit more creative, okay? And then everyone's kind of like waiting on bated breath here because Deku has to show off some of his like ultimate moves. And clearly, you know, that new move he has, the Black Whip, is really powerful, and everyone's kind of curious if he's going to show that off or not. And everyone's looking at him. It's like a very serious moment. People are like holding their breath, all the students and stuff. And he talks about how he has been practicing every day. He has been working on visualization. He has been picturing like this new power behind a locked door. and he's been picturing himself unlocking it just a little bit so that he can use it in small doses to build up to being able to use Black Whip. Okay, so I am just like everyone else. I feel like on the edge of my seat. I am waiting. I'm like, oh my God, how much better has he gotten at this? Is it gonna go crazy again? Is it gonna be like he can control it really well? He's so pumped up. Sorry. And he lets out the tiniest little wisp of like green smoke. I almost like cried. I was laughing so hard. I could not believe it. All the buildup for that little itty bitty teeny tiny streak of power. No. Like, what was that? I feel like you get more smoke when you like blow the candles out off of a birthday cake. Like, it was the teeniest, tiniest, most pathetic thing I've ever seen, to be honest. But it was very funny. So, all right, like, I'll give it to you. You can use it at least. I guess that's the first step, right? Gotta work on your visualization a little bit more, though. Like, keep on keeping on, Midoriya, because it's not your best. It's not your best work. And please change it up on the name game, because you can't just go through all the states All Might's never used, especially because he's trying. You have to remember that Midoriya is trying to like distance himself from All Might, not like physically, but he doesn't want people to connect his power and All Might's power together. He wants to keep that a secret. So if you're trying to keep that a secret, maybe don't name your powers the same thing. Like, no, you can't just change one thing out. That is literally plagiarism. Like, I'm sorry, but you could not submit that at college. It would get flagged, okay? Zero tolerance policy. You'd get kicked out. So anyway, that was Deku's like super crazy moves. But it was cool. I liked that little arc. I thought it was fun. It reminds us that eventually everyone is going to be a real hero that's out there doing real hero work all the time, and that this is school to prepare them for that kind of stuff. So I liked seeing that whole little bit. After that, we get this clip of All Might, and he has been like working really hard. He looks super tired, and you see like all of his notes and stuff, and he has been doing some research trying to figure out what the other quirks were that were in All for One. And he's saying to Principal Nezu, who comes in, he's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out some of the earlier quirks. Like, it's really unclear because there's poor record keeping and we don't really know for sure. But obviously they want to kind of have an idea of what to expect with Midoriya, because it's going to be really weird to not even know what to expect for any of them. I think that Nana Shimura, I think that her quirk was Float. And obviously we know about Black Whip, but like, what else is there? That's only 2 out of quite a few. So he's been doing research on that, which is great. And Nezu says like, oh yeah, I have an announcement. We're gonna have to talk about it. We're gonna resume the work studies. And we see that all of the UA staff is in a meeting. And it turns out that the commission, the Hero Commission, has requested that UA resume the work study group, even though that originally they had decided to stop that for now, kind of because of everything that happened with All Might and just with all of the extra like villain activity and stuff. So they were like, oh, we're going to put this on pause for now. But the Hero Commission is requesting that they resume doing hero studies, and has kind of said that it has to do with the incident that happened that we saw a little clip from in the very beginning. And also Midoriya had been watching a news clip on this. So 9 days ago, there was a horrible tragedy at this city called Daika City. Well, there was this crazy incident where the entire town was destroyed. And there was so much damage. There was more damage than there was in the Camino incident, but it's a less populated area, so there were less casualties. And it's kind of heavily implied that this was probably League of Villain activity. And all of the staff are like, this is really unprecedented. Like, the Hero Commission has never told us what to do before. It seems like they're kind of keeping things to themselves and they're not telling us the full story. And when they're talking about that, we see a clip of this woman in an office with Hawks, who we know is working undercover with the League of Villains. So clearly some kind of intel has come in and they know more than they're saying. And it's like, we need to get more heroes trained up real quick because stuff's going to go down and it's going to get real serious and we need these heroes to be prepared. So this is awesome, in my opinion, because it's really showing us that we're going to have a lot of like intense stuff coming up, which is a great break from all of this fun, but kind of boring, like school training, just same stuff every day arc that we've been in. So I'm really glad that we're kind of like leaving that behind because that was getting super old. And then we also find out that the kids have been living in the dorms now for 4 months. And I guess they were doing that to see if there was a spy amongst the kids, because Principal Nezu basically says like, oh, I think that there's no spies amongst the students because nothing weird has happened since they've all been living in the dorms. How would that prove if anyone was a spy or not, just because they were all living in dorms? Like, you can do some shady shit in dorms. Just ask any college kid. Like, what are you talking about? But, I mean, Principal Nezu is totally sure that this means that there is no spy amongst the students. Okay, if that's what you get from that, then that's awesome. But I see a lot of flaws in that. I guess that's just me. I don't know. But I don't think that there's a spy amongst them anyway. I love all the kids, so if any of them were a spy, I'd be heartbroken. So I'm glad that he says that, but I do just think, like, where is that coming from? What are you getting that from? I don't know. He's the genius, so I guess I should just leave it up to him. Anyway. Oh my god. Okay. And so last but not least, the end part of this episode is the best because this is the Christmas episode. And we get to see that it's Christmas and all of the 1A class are having a party. And they're all wearing these like matching Santa suits, elf suits. What are these? Santa suits? I don't know. I don't know where they all get them. Like, did they buy them from the UA school store? I don't know. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was awesome. I literally loved it. It was just like the cutest thing I've ever seen. They're all wearing these little Santa hats. And if you look really closely, or like if you pause some of the frames here, you can see that all of their little hats have bits at the end that are like personalized for them. Oh my god, stop it. So Farapi has a little frog on hers. And Uraraka's has like a planet because she's got no gravity, like outer space. Oh my god. Sato's had a little piece of candy. Sero had like a little tape dispenser at the end there. So cute. The best. Like, I loved it. My favorite one, and it was so funny. My favorite one was Hagakure because Hagakure's hat just doesn't have anything at the end, implying that it's invisible. Ah, so cute, right? Like, loved it. I think that this is just so funny, and things like this, I think, are like the best part of the whole show because it's so cute. I'm so sorry. Someone is driving up and down my street like on a motorcycle, so my bad if you can hear that. They're all talking about work studies. So even though it's a holiday party, UA high school is full of a bunch of nerds and they can't talk about anything besides school. But to be totally honest, like, if I went to Hero High School, all I would talk about is Hero stuff too. It's like the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's like a little side tangent, but something that makes me so mad is the fact that, like, in Harry Potter, in the books, whatever, I don't care about the movies, but in the books, Harry is like bad at school because he like doesn't do his homework and stuff. That is so infuriating to me because if I were a witch and I went to magic school where I was learning how to like transform turtles into teacups and disapparate and make stuff float and make potions and stuff, if that's what I was learning in school, all I would be doing is schoolwork. Like, how are you doing anything else besides schoolwork? Like, that is the coolest thing ever to learn, and you better be working super extra hard because you're learning how to do magic. So, I mean, if I went to Hero High School, all I would talk about is hero stuff too. So they're talking about their work studies. And Uraraka and Frappy are going to go back to who they had been with before. I didn't write her name down. Ryukyu? Sorry about that. But they're going to go back with her. And they ask Midoriya what he's going to do. Because obviously, rest in peace, Night Eye has passed away. So Night Eye isn't running his agency anymore, but it has been taken over, by his second in command, who was Centipeter. And I mean, personally, I would not want to go to that hero agency just because centipedes give me the creeps really hard. I think they are the creepiest bugs on the planet. They've got way too many legs. They scurry. He just looks, I can't deal. I cannot deal with centipedes. So that would be a hard no from me. I would be like, I'm gonna pass. But he's like, oh, I called and they're just really busy because Night Eye took care of a lot of the paperwork and now we have to do all the paperwork ourselves and it's been a lot of work. So we're too busy and we can't have you come. So Midoriya doesn't really know what he's gonna do for his hero work. And I don't know if he could maybe go see Gran Torino or not, but we haven't really heard from Gran Torino in a while. We did briefly hear from him in that episode with Midoriya where his powers went all crazy, and he had called All Might just to talk about whether or not Nana had ever talked about the past holders of All for One, One for All. Oh my god, I'm gonna do that. So anyway, that's the last time we've heard from him, and even then that was super brief, so I don't really know what he's up to, what he's doing, but it doesn't seem like that's an option. And is he technically really a hero with an agency? I don't know. It seemed kind of suspicious to me, a little shady. So I don't know what he's gonna do. And then they ask Bakugo as well. They're like, hey, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go see Best Jeanist again? And we get this little clip of him looking at a news article that says that Best Jeanist is missing. So this is a development. Since when? When did he go missing? Why has it never been brought up before? He's one of the top heroes and he's missing, and it's just been mentioned so casually. Has he been missing and I just didn't know? I mean, obviously, but have they mentioned it and I just totally missed it? I don't think so. I just think they've never mentioned it, which is crazy. Isn't he the number 3 hero? Right? Endeavor, Hawks, and then Best Jeanist? I don't know. So this is looking crazy that he's missing and it's just never been brought up. And while this is happening too, Bakugo gets we have a little flashback moment here, and they use the most tender flashback music. It's so sweet. It sounds very piano. It's really sad. And Bakugo's having his hair combed down, and they're talking about his hero name. And Best Jeanist is why haven't you picked a hero name, Bakugo? You have to have a hero name. And he goes through all of his options. He's all my names have been rejected. I want to be King, Explosion, Lord, Murder, Killer Dude, whatever. And Best Jeanist is oh, I think that you're just not thinking about it properly. You're still kind of just thinking about yourself. You're not really thinking outside of who you are right now. Your hero name it represents your wish and what you want to project to society. And he says when you get your license, your provisional license, come back to me and I'll ask you again what your hero name is. And I don't know, the whole moment seemed really kind of sad. I think that even though Bakugo kind of claims that he didn't have a great time with Best Jeanist, I wonder if that's really true because he seems definitely bothered by the fact that he's missing. And I kind of get the feeling that maybe Bakugo has come up with a hero name and wanted to talk to a pro hero about it and to see what they thought. And now he doesn't have the opportunity to because Best Jeanist is missing. So that was definitely really interesting. I wonder what this is going to mean for future episodes because, like I said, Best Jeanist, I think, was the number 3 hero. And I mean, now we know Hawks is doing undercover work, so he's obviously busy. I don't know, it's not looking so great for Hero Society, in my opinion. Then we have the best part of the hero party, which is when Aizawa Sensei comes in and brings a special guest, and it's Eri, and she's looking so cute in her little Santa suit, and she says, "Trick or treat." Oh my god, stop it. Like, how adorable. Wrong holiday, honey, but that's okay. Clearly she never really celebrated Christmas before. Or like any other holiday because she kind of rolls them all into one. She's like trying to banish demons and she painted Easter eggs. And I just love that she gets to celebrate with the class now. Better late than never, in my opinion. Everyone's obsessing over it. And we notice a few things. One, oh my god, Aizawa, like as class dad, is like so hot, no? Like, is it just me? I gotta have like a thing for Aizawa. At least he's age appropriate for me. Because Eri seems so unsure of like going to the party. Like she's obviously never been to a Christmas party before. And he's so cute and encouraging, and he just kind of is like, go on, have fun. Stop it. We get to see him smile, which is super rare. So that was great. That was like the highlight of my whole week, to be honest. And we get kind of an ominous thing here. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but as they're all partying and like eating the delicious food, and I think Sato roasted a whole chicken, and they're like, oh my god, he can cook and he can bake. Yeah, I feel you because I don't cook and I don't bake. I don't do either. But they're all like pigging out and having a great time. And Midoriya is like, oh, like, we didn't know what was really going on, and I thought to myself, I hope we have such a fun Christmas party next year. That is so ominous. I don't think a show ever says something like, oh, I hope we get to have a great summer like this next summer. And then they do. Like, no, it means they're going to have the worst summer of their lives, basically. Like him saying, oh, I hope we get to have such a fun Christmas next year means that they're going to have a shitty Christmas next year. Like, this is ominous. This is some foreshadowing, for sure. Okay. And that's like the end of the episode. But just like last week's episode, after the credits, we actually get like a teeny tidbit more of the episode, which is when Todoroki says like, hey, Midoriya and Bakugo, my 2 best friends, because I just spend so much time with you guys at school, and that's what friends are, right? If you guys don't have anywhere to go for your internship, why don't you come and intern with me and the number 1 hero Endeavor? What? Like, what an opportunity. Okay, this is going to be great. And that's how the episode ends officially. And we see a little glimpse of next week's episode, which I literally didn't write the name down for. Oh my god, I cannot believe that. But in the preview, we get to see that Todoroki and Bakugo and Midoriya all meet up with Endeavor. We see like some clips of them doing their study. And then we also see a little clip of Hawks talking to that weird hero from last week, Slide and Go. So I wonder what's going to happen there. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, you guys, I think that this episode was awesome. This episode and last week's episode both were really great. They showed us a lot of different parts of the society that we've kind of been missing out on. We get to see some glimpses of the things that have been happening in the hero world. They showed us that there's been this crazy incident at a city where the entire city was destroyed. The Hero Commission is telling UA to have the students do hero work and to resume having these internships to like get them prepared. Prepared for what? I don't know. We also get that kind of ominous, I consider it an ominous warning, even though it was just like a statement from Midoriya about like, oh, I hope we get to have a nice Christmas next year too. Probably not gonna. And we found out that Best Jeanist is straight up missing. So we'll see what happens next. I'm really excited for it. I know that I wasn't the only one that felt like this first arc here in the season was kind of a bit on the slower side. It's actually some criticism that I've seen a lot online about people finding the show so far to be kind of disappointing. As someone who reads the manga, I can tell you that I personally am so excited for the upcoming arc. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. Sometimes they do things exactly how they have it in the manga, sometimes they don't. But regardless, we definitely have some really exciting stuff coming up. It's going to be awesome to see the big three heroes of Class 1A, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Midoriya, all training with the number one hero, Endeavor. That's going to be so cool to see. We don't know if they're going to get along. Is Endeavor going to be a bad teacher? I don't know, but it's definitely going to be exciting. And hopefully we kind of find out a little bit more about what Hawks has been up to, because that was a huge plot point from the last season about having a spy. Somebody was like a traitor, and then we find out that it's Hawks. And we've really not heard anything about it, so hopefully this little glimpse of him in the preview means that we're going to find out a bit more about that. That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe not all in this very next episode, but hopefully in the next few, because that's the kind of stuff I really like this show for. I really like hearing about, the good versus evil, basically. So hopefully that's what we get in this next one. Anyway, if you've made it to the end of this episode, please leave us a review, rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts. That'd be awesome. Unfortunately, I totally forgot about like birthdays and stuff. That's stuff that Kyle always does, and he's the MVP. So hopefully you guys didn't hate this episode with just me. It's a bit shorter since we don't have all of his witty banter, but I did my best. So anyway, if you've come to the end, please check out our Instagram. Can definitely send me a message. Send us a review. That'd be great. And otherwise, I will see you next week. Super dope. Plus Ultra.